Amen, amen. You may be seated here this morning. So good to have you all with us in church. Greetings to those of you who are with us online. Happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers in the room or again with us online. Happy Mother's Day to my mother, who I am sure is or will be watching this service online. Happy Mother's Day to my wife, who I believe will be in the next service. And again, just happy Mother's Day to all of you moms. I hope you have an amazing, amazing day. So glad that you're with us here as well on this Mother's Day. Also, glad to have some familiar faces with us here today. I see Pastor Charles Okwaro is in this service, and so Pastor Charles is back visiting from the West Coast, has a member of his family here with him who I think is moving back into the area for an internship this coming up here, and so great to have you with us as well. Hey, before we get going, let me just mention this one more time. I mentioned it last week, but we have an important day that's coming up later this month where we're going to be doing some training as a church on how to be more welcoming, how to be more inclusive of everyone, all of those who are impacted by some form of disability. Maybe that's a physical disability, maybe that's somebody who's young, maybe that's somebody who's old, dementia, something, any kind of disability, developmental, physical, whatever it may be. We want to be the most welcoming church. We want to be the most welcoming place, period, for each and every single person. And so later this month, Saturday the 30th, we're going to be doing some training as a church. And let me just say, if you are currently serving a ministry, you're an usher, a greeter, parking lot attendant, security, hospitality, kids worker, youth worker, if you're serving a ministry, we'd ask for you to be with us that day just so that you can learn how to, again, be more welcoming and be more inclusive of everybody who walks through the door. And if this is something that just kind of like, it stirs your heart, you're like, man, I would really like to get involved in this kind of ministry, we would love to talk with you, not just about the training that day, but how to partner with us long-term, again, and just being able to reach every single person that God puts in our path. So if this kind of ministry just resonates with you, I think there's a link on the screen, a QR code. You can scan it. You can come up, talk with me. Love to talk with you about how to get more involved with this. Well, hey, we're in this series entitled Blessed Are the Spiraling. This is actually week number 5. If you missed some of the previous messages, you want to be sure to go back and catch those online. But today, I'm talking on a sermon entitled When We Feel Burned Out. When we feel burned out. Anyone here ever felt burned out before? Yeah, there's a few hands that are going up around the room. From time to time, we kind of all feel it, don't we? Maybe it's just a week. You got that week where you're just running on empty and you feel burned out. Maybe it's longer. Maybe it's a month where you feel like you're just kind of going through the motions. You just got nothing more to give. Maybe if it's even been like a year where you're just down and out. You just feel burned out. Most of us, maybe even all of us, have been there before. Even if you're a Christian. Even if you love God and you believe in what you're doing, I imagine many of us have just had that moment where the tank just went dry and where we can't seem to fill it back up. I mean, burnout, it can really happen to anybody, happens to all kinds of people. I mean, it's Mother's Day today, and I would imagine maybe there's some moms in the room, again with us online, raising 1, 2, 3, whatever number of kids, running on no sleep, managing the impossible, pouring yourself out every single day. Love Jesus, but you just feel burned out. Happen to moms. It can happen to executives, an executive at the top of their field. Every decision lands on their desk. Every problem lands on their desk. One problem, no problem. 100 problems, no big thing, but 100 problems, 100 days in a row, and yeah, you get kind of burned out, don't you? I mean, burnout, it can even happen to a pastor. How many people know pastors can even get burned out? Here's a sobering reality. One estimates that 1,500 to 1,700 pastors leave the ministry every single month in the United States. Not because they stopped believing, not because they stopped loving God. For many, they're just done. The tank is empty. They're just depleted. They're just burned out. So many of us get burned out. And when we do, what do? We make it worse. We just tell ourselves things like, just try harder. Just be stronger, just be more disciplined, manage your schedule better, or maybe the most unhelpful thing at all, just figure out what to stop doing as if everything on our plate wasn't important. So many of us get burned out, and when we do, we don't handle it well at all. So here's what I want us to do today. Here's what I want to look at today. I just want to ask the question, is there a better way to handle burnout? In fact, is it even possible to avoid burnout altogether? Is it possible to do all that God has called us to do and to do it well without crashing out, without burning out, without spiraling down some deep, dark hole? And so today, to answer that question, I want to have us all turn to the book of Isaiah chapter 40. Isaiah chapter 40, we'll pick it up in verse 27, and we'll read through verse 31. And here's what we read. It says, "Why do you say, O Jacob, and speak, O Israel, my way is hidden from the Lord, and my just claim is passed over by my God? Have you not known? Have you not heard? The everlasting God, the Lord, the creator of the ends of the earth, he neither faints nor is weary. His understanding is unsearchable. He gives power to the weak, and to those who have no might, he increases strength. Even the youths shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall, but those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint." Now, those are some good verses, aren't they? I mean, did you notice what it said there? Isaiah here, he doesn't say that those who wait on the Lord, that they're going to run further before they get tired. No, he says they will never grow weary. They'll never burn out. I mean, that's good, isn't it? So, and it does. It seems like it's possible to not grow tired. It seems like it's possible to not burn out. But how? Well, before we can first find our way out of burnout, we have to understand what causes it. And there's a couple of reasons why we burn out. And here in our passage today, we see some of the clues that leads to burnout. Let me just set the scene just a tiny bit of what's going on here in Isaiah. And the people here in Isaiah's day, they were saying, God, you don't see what we're going through. In fact, it says, my way, our way is hidden from the Lord. The Lord doesn't see what we're going through. He doesn't seem to care. We're struggling here, and God doesn't even seem to notice. And the reply from God is, hold on. He says, don't you know, haven't you heard that I do care? That I do know what's going on in your life? Are you blind to the fact that I do care for you, that I'm providing for you? You see, the people, they didn't think that God cared. They didn't think that God was providing for them, but he was. The problem wasn't God's faithfulness. He was being faithful. The problem wasn't God's faithfulness. The problem was the people's perspective. It was their beliefs. And I would suggest that burnout, certainly burnout, spiritual burnout, it almost always starts with broken, inaccurate beliefs. And there's two beliefs in particular that when it comes to our spiritual life, I believe that they derail people all of the time. And the first is this, a wrong view of the gospel. We have a wrong view of the gospel, and it leads to burnout. And what I mean by a wrong view of the gospel, there's so many of us that we tend to view the Christian life like a formula. It's more of a formula than a relationship. And if you've been around church for very long, you know what the formula is. That you should read your Bible, plus you should pray every day, plus you should give, plus you should serve, plus you should witness, plus you should be at church, plus you should, plus you should, plus you should, plus you should. And if you do all of that, then that equals a good Christian life. And listen, all of those things are good things, aren't they? We should try to do all those things. The problem is, though, when we view the gospel as a formula, and as a result, when we're trying to do all of those things, we end up burning ourselves out. Because if we try to do all those things, if we manage to, we don't manage to keep up, then we feel guilty, don't we? Because I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. And if somehow we do manage to do all those things, we do all the praying and the reading, we do. If we manage somehow to try to keep up, it just leads to exhaustion, doesn't it? And again, all those things are good. Bible, pray, serve, all are good, all important. But when they're treated as a mere formula or a checklist, they can leave you dry. And here's the thing, that formula, it is foreign to the New Testament. That formula of do, that is not the gospel. The gospel is not a system of obligations. It is a relationship. It's more than just doing things. It is a relationship. Christ didn't reach down and love you and give his life for you because you checked enough boxes for him. We don't earn his presence and his strength in our lives by doing enough good things for him. No, we just receive it by being in relationship with him. John chapter 15, verse 5, familiar verse. We read it often. Here's what it says. It says, I am the vine. Jesus is the vine. You are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. And apart from me, you can do nothing. Well, what is this passage saying? It's saying that the branch, it doesn't produce fruit by trying harder. The branch doesn't produce fruit by striving and doing. No, how does the branch produce fruit? By staying connected to the vine. The life flows from the vine into the branch. The branch does not produce life on its own. It's kind of like this bush here. I know this is not a vine, so just bear with me here for the sake of the illustration, all right? We got this bush, this tree here, and many of us, we're kind of like the branches on this bush. You know, we're connected to the trunk, the main trunk going down in the soil there. That's Jesus. We're connected, and we're doing our thing. But every once in a while, what do? We actually detach ourselves from the bush, and then we go and we try to live life on our own. And we take our life and we go a completely different direction, and we separate ourselves from Christ. Now, we may be over here and doing life and doing, all the things we want to do. Or maybe we're even over here and we're doing some really good things. We're doing things like praying and reading our Bible. But on the inside, we're actually detached from Christ. Kind of like the Pharisees. You remember the Pharisees in the New Testament? They were doing all of the right things in many cases. Again, they were praying and they were giving and they were going to church or temple, whatever. They were doing all the kinds of good things, but they were disconnected from Christ. They were disconnected from the vine. They were disconnected from the trunk. And as a result of being disconnected, even though they were doing the right things, they were withering and they were dying on the inside. And that's many of us. Maybe we're doing the right things, but again, we're not connected. And the result is that we will wither and we will die. I just cut this branch off from the bush, but if we all came back here next week, I'm going to venture to guess that many of these leaves, they look a little browner. Some of them will probably have fallen off. We come back here in a month, and probably this branch is going to be completely dead. Why? Because it's not connected. And that is what this passage is saying. It's saying, look, you can do all of the right things, but if you're not connected to Christ, you will eventually die. You will eventually wither. Several years ago, I ran the Athens Marathon. I think we actually have a picture maybe. Since I finished, I should at least show off the picture, right? There I am. This is after the end of the picture. There's actually to my left there, that's Yuri. He's actually on staff here at the church, actually up in the sound booth right now. To his left is Matt Barker, one of our missionaries. The guy on the far right was a guy working with one of the missionaries, ran the race with us. And here's the thing about running a marathon. All runners who run a marathon, you got to refuel along the way. You see, the human body, it can only store a certain amount of carbohydrate energy. The muscles, the liver, there's only so much that they can store. Probably for most people, it's about 90 minutes, maybe 2 hours worth of energy. And then after that, the tank is empty. There's only so much energy your body can store before it'll run out. And when you hit empty, that's where runners, sometimes they call it hitting the wall. That's the point where the body it's gone through all of its reserves, and the performance, it just kind of collapses unless you get refueled. The legs lock up, the thinking, the memory gets poor, just every step is just harder and harder to take. So mid-race, when I was in Athens and running this marathon, I was refueling the whole time. I mean, I'm pounding back energy gels, and I'm drinking electrolyte drinks, and I'm eating bananas, and I'm eating like raw honey, whatever I could get into my system to refuel. Because without it, not just poor runners like me, but even elite runners, without refueling, they cannot finish the race. The body simply does not have enough it doesn't have an inexhaustible supply of energy. Human energy, it's always finite. It doesn't matter how well trained you are, you will run out of energy. It's true in running, and it's what our passage here today is saying. It's saying that this is not just true of running, but it's true of everyday life. Again, verse 30, it says, even youths in the prime, you think they'd have the most energy, even the youth shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. We simply do not have it in and of ourselves. To live the life, certainly live the Christian spiritual life, we don't have it in and of ourselves to run the race and finish on our own. We will burn out if we try to do it in our strength. So we have to stay connected to Him. Some people burn out because they have a wrong view of the gospel. Second, some people burn out because they have a wrong view of spiritual maturity. A second root of burnout is a misunderstanding of what spiritual growth actually looks like. We tend to think that spiritual maturity, it looks like consistent self-control. It's not giving into temptation. It's the ability to handle more and more and keep all the plates in life spinning without dropping any. And the idea becoming is that the more mature I become, the more that I have it together, the more under control I am, the more mature I am. But here's the problem with that line of thought. If you and I could actually control our flesh, if we could control our sinful nature, if we could manage ourselves into holiness, if we could make ourselves mature by our effort, then we actually wouldn't need God. But the reality is, here's the reality, we can't. In fact, here's the truth. It doesn't matter how long you've been a Christian. I don't care if you've been a Christian for 50 plus years. It doesn't matter how long we've been following Christ. It doesn't matter how mature we think we are. We cannot change ourselves. We can't hold ourselves together. The flesh, the sinful nature, our weakness, listen, it's not a problem that you can solve by getting older. Spiritual maturity, it doesn't come from trying harder. Let me tell you what spiritual maturity actually looks like. Maturity is coming to the point. It's coming to the place where you say, I know that I'm a human being. I know that I can't change my flesh, my own sinful desires. I can't do that on my own. I know that I want to live independently from God. That's my default. But my responsibility, here's maturity, but my responsibility as a follower of Christ is to rely upon Him, to depend upon Him every single day, to trust Him to do through me what I cannot do on my own. Listen, admitting that we need Him, that is not weakness. Admitting that we need Him, that is not spiritual immaturity. In fact, admitting that we need Him is the most spiritually mature thing that you can do. And when you do admit that you need Him, and when you rely on Him, what happens? Well, Romans 8:37 says, now, no, in all these things, we are more than conquerors through Him. Not through our striving, not through what we can do, not by what I can do or you can do. No, we're conquerors through Him who loved us. When we have Him, when we're not operating on our own, but relying on Him, through Him we won't burn out. Through Him we will conquer. So some people, they burn out because they have a wrong view of the gospel. And then some people, they burn out because they have a wrong view of spiritual maturity and they're trying to do it in their own strength and not relying on Christ. And we can't do it on our own. So what is the path out of burnout? The good news is that Isaiah, he doesn't just give us a problem, he gives us a way out. And it's not a self-help strategy. It's not a better schedule. No, it is a different way of living altogether. And it involves three things. And the first is simply this. The first thing, if we want to get out of burnout, is that we have to exchange. We have to trade our weakness for His strength. You have to trade your weakness for His strength. In our text today, we read, but those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall renew their strength. And that phrase, renew their strength, here in our text, it carries with it the idea of an exchange. Renew doesn't mean digging deeper to find more strength. Renew doesn't mean finding some hidden reserve of strength that you didn't know that you had. No, renew here, it means an actual trade. That we're trading our exhaustible strength for his inexhaustible strength. That is, you hand something over to God, and he hands something completely back to you in return. And you know how exchanging works. You know what exchanging feels like. You walk into the store and you got your broken item. It's cracked. It doesn't work. It's done. And you exchange it and you leave with one that is brand new. You didn't fix the old one. You didn't patch it up and hope for the best. No, you surrendered the broken thing, and then you walked out of the store with something that you could not have produced on your own. And that exchange, that is exactly what Isaiah is describing here when he says renew. He doesn't say you don't come to God when you've pulled yourself together. You come to him with a broken thing, your broken life, your emptiness, your exhaustion, that version of you that's cracked and that's running on empty, that's running on nothing. And he takes that broken version and he gives you his perfect, inexhaustible strength in return. Now, here's the problem, though, is that the exchange only works if you bring something in to be exchanged. The exchange only works if you actually bring the broken item into the store to exchange it. It only works if you bring your brokenness to him. For some months now, my cell phone has actually been broken. And if I touch my screen, it works about 90% of the time. 10% of the time it doesn't. And I don't know if you can actually see this, but let's see here. Can they zoom in? But up here at the top, there's this little black splotch. It's about the size of somewhere between a nickel and a dime. And most of the time it doesn't bother me. Every once in a while I got to see something up here and I can't, and I'm trying to fiddle with my phone to read whatever I'm supposed to be able to read behind there. Here's the thing. This phone has been broken for months. And do you know why it is still broken today? I've never taken it in the store to exchange it. It's been broke. That's all I got to do. If I walked in the store and said, hey, give me a new phone or try to replace the screen or whatever, I would have it. But I've been living with it for months. Why? Because I just haven't taken the time to exchange it. And look, if you're tired and exhausted and burned out, nothing in your life is going to change until you change. Until you make a change. Nothing in your life is going to change until you actually exchange your brokenness, your emptiness, your tiredness, until you exchange it for his wholeness. The problem is that too many people, we just don't like to admit that we're running on empty, do we? Too many of us, we just don't ever want to make the trade. And maybe that's you right now. Maybe you're the person you're the one that always figures it out. You built a reputation of being capable, dependable. You're the person that other people lean on. You don't lean on other people. People lean on you. And the idea of you saying, hey, I'm just tired. I'm depleted. I'm burned out. That is a confession that you are just not willing to make. Can I speak to you, if that's you, for just a second? That strength that you're protecting, that image of reliability that you're protecting, God is not impressed by your fake facade. The exchange that Isaiah is describing here, look, it isn't for people who have nothing left to offer. It's not just for people who hit rock bottom. You don't have to have your life completely falling apart to qualify for this exchange. You just have to be honest and say, I don't have this, and I need God's strength, not my own. But here's what I found. The overachievers, the high-capacity people, the ones who never ask for help, the ones that other people always go to for help, they're the ones they're often the most exhausted people in the entire room. So maybe you're here. And maybe on the outside you seem to have it all together, but on the inside you are crumbling and you are dried up and you are dying. Listen, God is waiting for you to make the exchange. The question is, are you willing to make it? Nothing will change until you make a change. Nothing will change until you make that exchange. Your limited strength for his inexhaustible strength. So first, we have to make the exchange. Second, we have to wait. We have to braid our lives with his. Earlier in verse 31, we read, but those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. The NIV actually translates that verse a little bit different. It translates it as those who hope in, not wait on, but hope in the Lord will renew their strength. The New Living Translation translates it even different. It says, but those who trust in the Lord will renew their strength. So which is it? Am I waiting on God until he restores my strength? Am I just kind of passively hoping that God will renew my strength? Or am I just trusting that he will eventually refill my tank? Which one is it? Well, really, it's actually none of those. The word wait in Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31, in the original Hebrew, it's far richer than it sounds in English. In Hebrew, the word that we translate wait on or hope in or trust in, really what it means is to braid, to twist two or more strands together into one. Now, I don't have girls, I have two boys, so I don't know a lot about braiding. But I know enough to know that braiding is when you take two or more independent strands and you weave them together in a way to make them one unified thing. And what this verse is saying for those who want to have their strength renewed, they're not just passively waiting for him to give them new strength. For those who want to have their strength renewed, they're not just hoping that he will give them new strength. No, for those who will have their strength renewed by him, they are braiding their lives together with his. They're not just passively trusting that he will renew their strength. No, they are actively pressing into him. They're merging their lives together with him. They are braiding their lives together with him. And that's where so many of us get it wrong, don't we? So often we have a moment of a burnout, a moment of despair, and we come to God. We genuinely come to God and we seek him in that moment where we're just tired and weary and we're exhausted. We come to him, we sit down, we pray and we're spending time with him, and then we feel the pressure release just a little bit. We feel the pressure ease just a little bit. And in that moment where we just feel slightly better, we stand up and we say to God, God, thanks, I got it from here. I'm good. Thanks for the jump start. And we walk right back onto the road that we were going down before, traveling at the same pace that we were traveling at before, that same pace that wore us out in the first place. We didn't take the time to braid our life together. We just kind of visited God. Rather than braiding our lives together with him and joining God on the journey, we treated him more like a pit stop on the side of the road, just using him to refuel when our gas ran a little bit low. So the question, it isn't whether you've ever stopped and passively waited for the Lord. No, the question is whether you've actually stopped and waited and stayed long enough to braid your life together with his. Because too many of us, after pausing for just a little bit, we just kind of, again, we head back out on our own, and then we wonder, why do I keep hitting the same wall over and over and over again? We wonder why we keep running out of gas, and the reason is we haven't braided our lives together with his. So we exchange, we wait, and then third, as the musicians come, we lean. We lean and we draw from an inexhaustible resource. Here's what I love most about our text here today. Isaiah doesn't just say God can give you strength. No, here he goes even further and he makes a claim about the very nature of God himself. Read with me again, verse 28. It says, do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God. The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He will not grow tired or weary, and his understanding no one can fathom. What's it saying? It's saying God does not burn out. He's the everlasting God. His energy has no limit. His strength has no ceiling. He's not going to run dry. He could run 100 marathons back to back, and he's never going to have to stop and refuel. And here's the implication. If you have the life of God living inside of you, and you're drawing from him as your source, and he doesn't burn out, God doesn't burn out, then what happens to your burnout? It loses its power over you. Not because you got stronger, not because you got better at managing your schedule, but because you're no longer running on your fuel, your source. No, you're running on His. I want you to watch this video here of a bald eagle. And as you watch it, I want you to pay attention, pay close attention to how much or really how little it's actually flapping its wings. No real flapping, no straining, just gliding, riding the winds. What you're seeing here, it isn't muscle, it's positioning. The eagle has its wings spread wide, and it's caught a column of warm air rising up off of the ground, and it's simply riding that wind upward further and further. Get this, the eagle doesn't create the wind. The eagle doesn't create the lift. The wind is what creates the lift. The eagle's only job is to know how to position itself to catch the wind, to catch the lift. And that image, that is exactly the image that Isaiah is painting here. They will mount up with wings like eagles. They're not going to flap frantically like sparrows. No, they're going to soar like eagles. They're going to mount up like eagles. They're going to ride the wind. They're going to soar. They're going to do it without using their own power. So often in our spiritual life, our effort, it looks more like frantic effort. Using our own power, we're striving, we're pushing, we're grinding, and we're flapping like crazy. But it's supposed to be more like the eagle, wings spread wide, arms spread wide, open hands, relying on God. His Spirit is the wind that's underneath us. You see, God is the wind. He's the energy. Our calling, our only job is not to generate the lift. It's not to generate the wind. It's to position ourselves to catch the wind that God provides. And Isaiah makes this point unmistakably clear. Even young men, at the absolute peak of their natural strength, in their natural strength, they will always stumble and fall. Human energy, what he says, no matter how impressive, it's still finite. It runs out every single time. But those who wait on the Lord, those who don't flap and strive and push and grind and flap some more, those who wait on the Lord, they mount up like eagles and they soar. So here's the big idea today. Here's the big idea today. Here's the one takeaway I hope you get. Look, we have to stop flapping and we have to start soaring. We got to stop operating in our own strength, and we got to start operating in His. We got to stop flapping, and we got to start soaring. And how do we do that? And quickly here as we close, let me give you a few practical ways. I could list like 15. I could probably list 25, but let me just give you 5. Let me name just 5 practical ways to start soaring, to start abiding, to start resting in Him. And let me just say, don't turn this into another checklist. It's just going to wear you out. Pick 2 of these things to consider this week. But a few things as you consider how to weave, how to wrap, how to braid your life together with His first, or start your day with surrender, not a to-do list. Start your day with surrender, not a to-do list. Each morning, before you check your phone, before you check your calendar, before you check your email, just open your hands. I mean, literally open your hands and tell God out loud, God, I know that I can't today, but I know that you can. I know that today it's going to be overwhelming for me, but I know that you have the strength that I need to make it through this day. First thing, every day, just say, God, I'm relying on you today. Psalm 5, verse 3, it says, in the morning, Lord, you hear my voice. In the morning, I lay my requests before you and wait expectantly. There's just something about coming to God first thing in the morning with the concerns that are going to be before us that day. Second, or B, practice the pause. Practice the pause. When you're starting to feel overwhelmed, when you're starting to feel frustrated, when you're starting to feel burned out, before you respond to the next email or the next crisis or the next demand, just pause. Just stop. Just breathe, just for 2 seconds. 3 seconds, and whisper, God, Holy Spirit, you lead, and I'm going to follow you. Lord, I'm feeling overwhelmed, but I'm just going to trust in you in this moment. That's like braiding our life together with him in real time. You're acknowledging that you are not capable of handling whatever it is that is right in front of you at that moment. You're saying, I can't handle this on my own, and I know that I need him. And when you do that, what happens? God helps you in that moment. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, another familiar passage. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart in the difficult moments and whenever. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. You don't have the strength, again, the wisdom in yourself. In all your ways, submit to him. And what happens? He'll make your path straight. He'll help you through the mess that you're in. You don't got it. So pause. Don't react, submit, lean on him. Listen for the wisdom that he gives you to meet the challenge before you. Third, you got to ruthlessly protect the Sabbath. Ruthlessly protect Sabbath. Now, Sabbath is one of those churchy words that we throw around, but literally it just means to rest. In the middle of the chaos that is life, to take a moment and to rest. Really what Sabbath means is taking one day a week, 1 out of 7, and just stopping, resting, trusting in him. Not working, not striving, not trying to figure out all the problems that we face in life. No, we're going to rest, we're going to trust, we're just going to rest in him, resting in the strength that comes not from our own striving, but comes from his provision. Mark chapter 2, verse 27 says the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. Listen, the Sabbath, taking this time to rest, it's God's gift to you. So guard it. One full day where you produce nothing, you perform nothing, you prove nothing, you fix nothing, you just rest in him and in the midst of everything that life is throwing at you. And then beyond the Sabbath, fourth, you got to build a burning bush habit. Here's what I mean by that. Really, I just mean every day carving out some intentional time to listen to God. There's a story in the Bible of Moses where he encountered God in a burning bush. And that's a whole sermon in and of its own, but here's one thing that's always stood out to me about this story. Moses wasn't looking for God when he found him in that bush, but he was paying attention. And when God called out to him, he was paying close enough attention that he actually heard God's voice speaking to him. And so what I take from that, one of the things I take from that is that we have to build moments in our life where we're actively listening to what God is saying. Not just once a week on the Sabbath, but every day, taking time to listen. What is God saying to me today? So many of us, we go, and 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 we're so busy that we miss God speaking. Psalm 46, verse 10 says, God says, be still and know that I am God. But so often we're just going and we miss because we're not still. We're not listening to what he's saying. So every day, just take a moment. Take a few minutes each day and, I don't know, leave your phone at your desk and go for a walk. Get up a little earlier, stay up a little later. Find some space somewhere where you just listen to what God is saying. Just find ways to be still, to quiet your heart and your life and just listen to what God is saying to you in the midst of the storm that you're facing. And then fifth, and we're done here because we're out of time. Fifth is just stay in community. Burnout, it thrives in isolation. The braid, it requires other strand. A braid's not a braid if it's only one strand. And yeah, the braid is communion with God, but it's also communion with other people. So many of us, we get overwhelmed because we're trying to do it all alone. Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 9 and 10, it says, 2 are better than 1. Because if either one of them falls down, one can help the other up. Or Hebrews 10:25, do not give up meeting together, but encouraging one another when you get together. Look, we're supposed to be together. And being together, that keeps us strong when life gets overwhelming. So we're supposed to be in community. And right now, literally, there's like 48 different groups that you can get involved in Calvary and ministries on top of that. Look, just get plugged into one of them. Get people around you. Get into community. I promise you, it will change your life. Again, I could list 15, 20 more things here. But let me just stop with those 5. Maybe you're here. Maybe you came in today or you joined us online today and you've just been running on fumes. Maybe you've been grinding for months and you're just not sure how much longer you can keep on going. if that's you, I want you to hear this today. God is not asking you to be stronger. He already knows that you're running out. He already knows that you're running on a finite amount of energy. He knows, but he's inviting you today to stop trying to be your own source and to rely on him as your only source. He's inviting you today to stop straining, to stop pretending that you got more to give because you don't. Again, Isaiah 40:31, those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. So stop flapping. Stop striving. Stop trying to do it in your own strength and ability and start soaring. Start relying on him. Would you pray with me here today? Maybe you're here today and you just say, Jamie, I'm tired. I'm wore out. I'm exhausted. I'm burned out, or I'm really close to just burning out and giving up. Maybe you're here today and you've just been trying to live life in your own strength. You're like that branch that's not connected to the tree. You've been trying to live life in your own strength, maybe even doing great things, lots of good things, but you really haven't been connected with him. And today you just want to say, Jamie, you just know that you just need to first, you need to make the exchange. You need to stop doing things in your own strength, and you need to start doing things in his strength. Or maybe you're here and you just know that you haven't been abiding in him. You haven't braided your life together with him. You've just kind of been detached, and you just know that you got to get closer to him, and you know that you got to lean on him, that you got to start trusting in the strength that he provides and stop trying to do it with your own strength because your strength you're just here today and you're tired. And you just know that you need to make that exchange. If that's you today, would you just raise your hand? I'd just love to pray for you today. Anybody who's just weary and tired and just knows, Lord, for every single person who raised their hand, just said, Lord, that they've been trying to do it on their own and they're tired. Been trying to do it on their own and they're burned out. Lord, I pray that today that they would make the exchange. They would stop trying to use their energy. They'd exchange it for yours. God, I pray that today that they would braid their lives together with you. They wouldn't just be a quick pit stop to get recharged by you, but Lord, that they would truly, genuinely braid their lives together with you. And Lord, I pray that they would lean on you and the strength that only comes from you. Like the eagle, Lord, that they would position themselves, the catch, the wind, the strength, the energy, Lord, that only you can provide. Lord, for each one that's weary and tired, Lord, I pray that they'd make that exchange today. With every head bowed and every eye closed, we're out here in like 60 seconds, but I just got to ask. Maybe you're here today and you just say, yeah, Jamie, I am tired, I'm exhausted, life is just beating me up. And if I'm honest, the reason why is that I've been living all of my life completely on my own. I've never had a relationship with God. I've never had a relationship with Jesus. I've never tried to even live in the strength that he provides. I've been doing life on my own without Christ, without God. But I am here today and I want to begin a relationship with Jesus. I want to rely on the strength that only he can give. I'm tired of living this life banking on my strength, which is getting me nowhere. I want to live my life on the strength that Christ provides. I want to begin a relationship with God. I want to begin a relationship with Jesus today. If that is you, I'd just love to pray for you. I'd just love to know who I'm praying for. So with every head bowed and every eye closed, nobody's looking around except for me. If that's you today, been living life on your own strength, but today you want to come to Jesus and you want to begin a relationship with him and rely on the strength that he has, would you just raise your hand so I can pray for you here today? Anybody? I see your hand, I see your hand, 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 see your hands in the back there, see your hands in the balcony, see your hands over there, 9, 10, maybe more. Lord, for each one who just said that they're tired of doing life on their own, they've tried it and it's left them weary and dry. And they're saying today, God, that they want to exchange that. Their own striving, God, they want to exchange that, Lord, for a relationship with you. Lord, I pray that this decision would be a decision that they wouldn't just make here right now, but it would be a decision that they would live out every single day. Lead them, guide them, draw them closer to you, Fill them with your Spirit, God. Fill them with the strength, again, that only comes from you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.